Hi, guys. Our guest in this episode is a Tai Chi teacher with over 20 years' experience to her credit. After feeling and witnessing firsthand the transformative powers of classical Tai Chi, she spreads the art in hopes to help as many as she can to live in the springtime of their lives. Please welcome Sifu Linda Felicio. How are you doing?
Very well. Thank you, Sifu Mark.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here with us. Let's go ahead and start the interview right now, Sifu. Let's go ahead with the first question. How did you start in the martial arts?
Very young, like most of your guests. I was around 12 and I started taking judo, which is a very mild, martial art. So I took that for a number of years, but then as I grew and became a teenager, for some reason, I gravitated away from it. So I'm also a trauma nurse. So I worked in the emergency room in Denver Health and Hospitals in Colorado. And so it became very important to me to find something that would give me a balance in my life with working in trauma several days a week and also having some relaxation and calmness and good health, for the rest of my life. So I started to do some research. I found some Tai Chi teachers in Colorado, in the Boulder area, and started training with them in Yang style Tai Chi. So and I really, it was great, but it wasn't until I met Master Hwa in South Florida that he just absolutely changed my life. And I started practicing classical Tai Chi, which is a Wu style Tai Chi.
Which leads me to segue into my next question, Sifu. What is classical Tai Chi exactly?
Classical Tai Chi is all about the practitioner. And when I say that, it's Chinese philosophy integrated with, the movement, with the postures. This is the piece that I really wasn't getting from other practitioners when I was in Colorado until I met Master Hwa. And it is all about the Chinese philosophy, the breathing, the internal discipline where one engages their core, the lower dantian, which really propels the qi, the energy, the life force through the body. And that in itself was really, really intriguing to me. Being a nurse, being a registered nurse, I understood the body really well and how it heals itself. And with using this qi, this life force, I think the internal discipline was the foundation of this Wu style Tai Chi or classical Tai Chi.
So this Neigong, this internal discipline, is the basis for classical Tai Chi. That is absolutely incredible. So is it, off the cuff question, Sifu,
Sure.
is this Neigong, this internal discipline, is it easy or pretty difficult to learn?
Well, one has to practice like anything else. I think because you're breathing, you're taking inhalations and exhalations, and at the same time, really focusing on the internal discipline itself, this lower dantian, which is about 2 finger breaths below the navel. You're lifting this to pump the qi through, especially through the lymphatic system. This lymphatic system is necessary because it removes all the bad cells from the body. As you know, the lymphatic system, we have lymph glands underneath our armpits, groins. We have a lymphatic gland that sits right in front of our heart muscle called the thymus gland. All of this is so important for good health. And I think the practitioner has to focus on this internal discipline if they want to feel the qi, if they want to feel that health benefit of the Tai Chi.
And it's funny that you say benefit, because I'm going to go off of that now to segue into my next question, Sifu. How can someone benefit from learning classical Tai Chi and the Neigong?
Yes, well, you've nailed it. That's what it is. It is all about the practitioner. So using this internal discipline, what it does, it reduces inflammation in the body. Inflammation causes disease. So if you can somehow circulate the qi, the qi leads the circulation through the body, meaning that the qi is going to your brain for brain health, for improving cognitive functioning, especially if you're teaching in the senior community. You want this qi to go to certain parts of the body. Master Hwa calls it the internal discipline, but it is the path to internal energy and health. If you don't mind, I would like to read just one sentence from his book. I'm sure you've read his book. It's called Uncovering the Treasure. He has one sentence in here, Mark, about classical Tai Chi. And he talks about the early masters who developed classical Tai Chi form must have had an in-depth knowledge about body mechanics and its effect on joint health and energy transmission and generation in the body. They meticulously incorporated their knowledge into every move in the Tai Chi form. So this is what we're talking about with every posture. There's 108 postures in the Wu style Tai Chi. So with every posture, you're thinking with movement. Just think about that. How much energy, focus goes into every movement that you're making. But you can see what they're saying, that the body has to be in perfect alignment for that qi. Every posture has to be in alignment. So it's a wonderful feeling. The qi is very subtle. You'll feel it, in the center of your hands, maybe in the fingertips, but it's there. And my students, over the years that I've been teaching, have all said to me things like, Linda, thank you for keeping me alive, for all these years, or thank you for helping me. I'm off some of my blood pressure medication, these kinds of things. So I know it works, Mark, from just their witnessing of what the qi can do. It's an amazing, beautiful art form. Because I was a nurse, I have a medical background. Of course, I was going to gravitate in that direction. And of course, the martial art within Tai Chi is there. There's no doubt.
Having your medical background and your knowledge of anatomy and so on like that. And I
Yes,
know how Master Hwa likes to teach. Master Hwa likes to teach using anatomical terms as that.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Did you appreciate that, the way how he teaches?
I did, very much. I was his assistant for a number of years. So I'd pick him up to go to the Chinese school where he was teaching, and we would have wonderful conversations. And I think he was able to really relate. He's an engineer by trade, but he was really able to relate to the medical, because the scientific information that is in this classical Tai Chi is phenomenal. How did those grandmasters know how the Qi, was driven, that lower dantian and the trapezius muscle, your back muscle, the core and your back muscle, to pump this Qi through the body? How did they know that, So I think Master Hwa really, the medical, the scientific information, knowledge that he's obtained from his teachers and is now passing that on to his students. There's nothing like this. I don't think that in the martial art world, of karate or taekwondo, that you would find an internal discipline as strong as we have in the classical Tai Chi. I hope I've answered your question.
Oh yes, you definitely
Yes.
did. You answered it and more. And if you
Okay.
don't mind if I put my 2 cents into that,
Oh, please do.
very rare that you find somebody who is as well. Well, first I want to clarify for all my viewers. Linda, as I said earlier, but I didn't stress the point. Linda is my older, well, in the kung fu sense, call her my older kung fu sister, right?
Yes.
Because she and I have the same teacher, albeit she learned from Master Hwa a long time before I did. We still have Master Hwa in common. So, these questions come as me personally knowing Master Hwa and taking classes from him. with their medical knowledge, so knowing it just everything just clicked and made sense, everything that he was saying, right?
Yes.
Because for
Yes.
me, right, I wasn't too versed really with with the body and how the whole muscles and so on, how they're stacked and so on. So it actually inspired me, his teaching, right, and teaching me like that. It kind of inspired me to get my certification, my personal training certification, so I could at least have an idea of what he was talking about when he was teaching, right? So a lot of different things come from that, right? But I can definitely say that I can definitely see how your previous medical experience would benefit your learning experience with Master Hwa. Or what did you have your was your medical experience before Master Hwa or
No,
during?
after. Yeah, after Master Hwa. I was still in the nursing profession when I met him. So always had questions for him about, okay, the chi, this is your ocean of chi, right? This lower dantian. This is where and it's always accessible to you, Mark, always. And you want to protect it, of course, if you're, in some sort of defensive combat mode, but it fascinated me, and how people were healing from this, and feeling better and feeling more alive, how inflammation was going down. Even in my classes, someone would come in with a knee that was swollen, and by the end of the class they were taking off their ace bandage because it was feeling so much better. It is really a remarkable thing, but you have to work at it. I mean, it's practice like anything else. After a while, after a number of years, it becomes the body almost knows when to engage that lower dantian. It feels like almost like you're doing a sit-up or a standing crunch, that engagement of that lower dantian. My feeling is that, without the internal discipline, there really isn't any Tai Chi, because with the Tai Chi, you're just sort of flinging your arms around. But when you have that internal discipline and you're thinking with every moment, right, every movement, what that does for the body is really a phenomenal thing. For especially, we both are teaching in the senior community now, and you can see how these people have more energy. My oldest is almost 90 years old and he is doing Tai Chi. These are your super ages. These are people that have probably the life force of a 50 or 60-year-old, but yet they're in their mid-80s, as sharp as a tack, and they just are delightful. There's not many of them, but they tend to gravitate toward Tai Chi because of the gentleness of it, but also because of the cognitive functioning.
Yes, it's true. It's true that we do both teach the senior community, and I do
Yes,
see eye to eye with what you're saying, right?
that's
Because seeing
great.
the benefits, seeing how someone gradually changes as they benefit from Tai Chi over time, it's great to see.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
Sifu Linda, let's go ahead and segue to the next question. The health benefits are definitely there for Tai Chi, right? Is it a practical style for fighting?
I do think so. It is very much a defensive type, defensive martial art. I think, again, with the internal discipline, as the chi is in that lower dantian and comes up to the body and then down to the hands, right? Because the hands and the arm, that's where you want this life force energy. Master Hwa talks about this 1-inch punch, Bruce Lee, and how you could just do that 1-inch punch and the person would just go flying across the room. That is real. This is not made up stuff. This is a very, very powerful art, martial art form. And as I said, it is all about this internal discipline that is promoting this energy. My seniors, and I know, Mark, you can really relate to this, they love that aspect. I didn't really know how it would go over with them, but it empowers them. When they learn, strumming the lute and parting the wild horse's mane, it empowers them. They feel not so vulnerable. as a, an 80-year-old senior or 85. They have something to protect themselves with. And absolutely, I've had to use it myself, and it is absolutely so effective, and so when I share that with my classes, and because the postures are really very intimidating, some of them, usually the other person, the perpetrator, has left the scene. It's just, you don't have to go very far with it. But absolutely, I do believe that Tai Chi has its place in the martial art world.
What are some differences or similarities between the styles that you have practiced and the styles that you teach now?
Well, that's a great question, and I don't have a lot of experience with other Tai Chi forms. The only one, when I was starting into Tai Chi, it was the Yang style. I do know that the postures tend to be a little bit more demonstrative, big. It's a big frame, big form, where the Wu style, what we do, the classical Tai Chi, is more compact, especially for women. The strikes are very short, very powerful, as opposed to in the Yang style. For me, they were a little bit big, a little bit more demonstrative. But as I said, I think the Wu style, this classical Tai Chi, just fit my body so much better than a large frame Tai Chi.
Going on to our third question now, Sifu. But before we do, it's worth noting, right, that Sifu always states that the Wu style, the small frame, is for fighting.
Absolutely. Always compact. And he's right, because you're not, even if you take the cloud hands, the cloud hands in Wu style, very, very close to the body, where in other forms of Tai Chi, the cloud hands tend to be very large, leaving you very vulnerable, I believe. So again, he's right on with that. I think the more Master Hwa says, and I tell my students, the more you practice Tai Chi, the more it will reveal itself to you. And I think that you will see that. You will see how beautiful the form is, but also for self-defense, how it can protect you.
Very good, very good, very good. In your honest opinion, what do you believe is the hardest part of developing one's Kung Fu?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mark. And I really thought about it, but how I'm going to answer this, I think. It is all, for me, about that internal discipline. It is, once you master it, once you have an understanding of what the lower Dantian does, think about these health benefits as far as stabilizing blood pressure, glycemic levels, meaning sugar levels, right? Just evening those sugar levels out. I can go on, right? The taking down of inflammation in the body. That part of it for me is really, if you can master that, can you do it? You can get an understanding of it. But then the next part of this is to really initiate it, to engage that Dantian, your trapezius muscles, the back, your core, and then let that energy go. Inhaling, exhaling. The breath it's coordinated with the Dantian. So this is nothing I don't think you can learn in a day. It takes a while to get that coordination, but once you do, it's an amazing thing.
That is a great answer. That is a very, very thorough answer at that. That's great. That's great. So, next question, Sifu Linda. Yes. If you could teach the new generation of martial artists only one thing, whether it be philosophy or technique, either or both, what would it be?
I think both, Mark. I really pondered your question. That was a great question, by the way. And I thought about it for quite a while. And I think that, the internal discipline that drives the chi through the body, but then your alignment with the body, this is when you bring in all of that Chinese philosophy from these grand masters, that the body has to be in alignment. These half body moves, these lower quarter body moves, the Fajin move, this upper, Master Hwa, it's got to be perfect, this Fajin move, so that you are not only learning, the postures themselves, but you are getting the health benefits from the Tai Chi. So yeah, I would think both. I would think the internal discipline would be the number one thing that I would teach the newer generation for sure.
Right? There's so many things that come from the internal discipline itself, right? I've had like debates with other Tai Chi practitioners, other friendly discussions, right? And they're always talking about certain details of Tai Chi, like the Chi converts into Jing, and then
Right.
it's emitted through the hands. And like through personal experience, Master Hwa doesn't really talk like that, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
And my previous teachers, they didn't really speak like that either.
That's correct.
Right? Another friendly debate. This is a different one, right? And I went to Sifu and I was like, Sifu, how does the chi convert to Jing? Do we have to think about this? Do we have to, what do we have to do for that to happen? And his answer literally was to me, connect your body. Connect
Correct.
your body.
He's
and
right.
everything falls into place. I'm like,
He's right.
oh, okay.
Just
Just
connecting. Yes. And
right.
he's absolutely right. That connection is the alignment in the body is what is the Qing, is what is what you're talking about. And you're right. He doesn't focus on that, but I will tell you that there's two aspects of this chi, this neurogenesis for the brain, because when you do Tai Chi, you are building neurons in your brain, new pathways, right? Neurogenesis. There is another thing called neuroplasticity, which that's the buzzword. You've heard people talk about that. That's really a reorganization of these synapses in the brain, right? And with that growth of learning, it's all through learning, Mark. And the connection in the body with the alignment of it, if the chi doesn't have a clear pathway, right, to go, it's going to stagnate, it's going to stop, or it'll shoot off to somewhere else, right? But if your body is in total alignment, then that's when you will feel the chi. That is my experience, or that energy, I think, is what Master Hwa is really talking about, this internal energy. So I hope that
Awesome.
makes some sense with the body. But you can see where I'm probably the only person who's coming from a different aspect. And do I appreciate the martial art aspect of it? Absolutely. I just am enamored by how the Tai Chi can be a martial art. It's really phenomenal.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that answer and that explanation, Sifu Linda. That's awesome.
You're welcome.
I understand more now. You just taught me a lot. That's
Oh,
great.
good.
So we have one more question. And as I always say, it's the most difficult. Not really.
Yeah. Yes.
How can you be contacted?
Oh, thank you so much for that. Yes, I will give you my phone and my email address if that's what you would like. Also, I always promote Master Hwa's book, Uncovering the Treasure, which is all about Tai Chi. He has been, I'm so grateful to him, Mark, as you are. He's a wonderful man to give us this gift of Tai Chi. He has a website called classicaltaichi.com. I don't, because I work at two fitness centers here in Santa Cruz. It's called Park Avenue Fitness. The other one is called Capitola Fitness. So students just come. I don't have to do any advertising, which has been really, really wonderful. So let me give you my phone. I'm here in Santa Cruz in California. It's 831-239-0000. That is my business phone. I'm under Tai Chi Spirit is the name of is the name of my business. And my email address is Zenergy. So Zen as in Zen, ERGY at bellsouth.net. So I kept the bellsouth.net because I was living in Fort Lauderdale and I don't want to give it up. So Zenergy at bellsouth.net. And that's how you can reach me. So thank you so much.
Contact information for Sifu Linda Felicio will be in the description below. Also in the description below will be a link for FeiYue shoes. If you need FeiYue shoes, go ahead and click the link down in the description below to get the best prices, the best deals, all at FeiYue shoes. Sifu Linda, thank you so much for the time that you've taken to speak with me
Thank
today.
you so much, Mark. You've been just terrific. Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure to finally meet you.
Thank you so much. And it'll be great. We should stay in touch. So if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Sifu Linda.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mark.